other state, and there may be, but if there are, it would only be a few, or I know about it, where you had two separate governmental entities with those kind of missions that are governed by one governing board.
Any other questions?
No.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll have a legislative update on these two House bills and anything else. Cheryl, you want to add?
At our next meeting, I'll have a bill that's introduced by the bill today, which is in line. So I'll have a recommended bill list in our next meeting.
Just for people who don't know, when these bills are introduced, what's the procedure, where it goes from where it was introduced and how if we show it going to Rules Committee, what happens in Rules Committee? What's the likelihood of this? Does it go someplace after
It may
Rules
not.
Committee?
I mean,
You know.
there's been probably over 3,000 bills filed in the House. They all have to go to the Rules Committee. The Speaker decides what bills are assigned to the committee, and there's a 3/5 vote requirement now for bills to get out of the Rules Committee. So, some Republican bills may not get out of the Rules Committee this year.
Member say?
Well, are we gonna discuss, are we gonna discuss this, so you're gonna bring this back up, or can we discuss the bill and the comments made, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, yeah, I just want a few comments, because, you know, I've read some stuff in the paper, and honestly, I'm amused and annoyed. You know, honestly,
At the same time.
and at the same time, being one of the two left that were actually Forest Preserve Commissioners and county board members, I'm just concerned about this negativity towards the county. I think the county has a great environmental record on its own. I mean, we might have a committee system. I think it's good and transparent. I think it runs well and efficient, not as great, I guess, as the Forest Preserve, as Brooke would say. But, you know, our years on the Forest Preserve, you know, the lady from Elmhurst that said from the Advocacy Center, you know, we bought thousands of acres of open land, closed the landfills, we built facilities, and we did a lot of good things. So to cast aspersion on past Forest Preserve boards just because it was a combined board, I think is the wrong way to go. You know, I think a lot of good things were done there at that time, and, you know, that's, you know, that can be debated. You know, I'm just concerned. I appreciate Mr. Schmidt's comments, because I think we did do a lot of good things at the Forest Preserve, and obviously, you know, if 101 other counties can make good decisions, as Brooke had said, you know, there was decisions that come up where you wear two hats, and that the people, you know, there was an outcry and they didn't do it. Well, that's good government. That's what we're elected to do. We're elected to represent our people, and if people are against something with an outcry like that, you should be able to, you know, vote against something. But, you know, I just want to make sure that we're not getting cast as this anti-environmental group here at the county, because I think we're not. I think we're one of the leaders in counties in the state for environmental work, especially in stormwater and every other issue. But I just want people to think, just because there's a proposal out there that we have nothing to do with, that we're pushing this, that, you know, we're just interested of getting rid of forest preserves and, you know, worried about economic development. We're not. I mean, obviously we have passing trails. We do a lot of environmental work here. So I just want that, you know, brought forward, that we're not this big group that's just looking to wipe out the forest.
Well said.
May I just do a follow-up real quick on that? And I agree, Jim, and I hope I didn't come across as being too negative. I mean, obviously, we've given the county numerous awards for the wonderful environmental work you do, so I just want to say I agree 100% with everything you just said.
Okay. Anything else? Any old business?
Mr. Chairman?
Well, just a couple comments about the bills. One, I'd like to know where it's all coming from, because I, for one, knew nothing about it. I haven't seen anything come to the legislative committee that this is gonna, I don't know if anyone else did, but I haven't seen anything, just kind of blindsided by it. So I'd be curious where this is all coming from, but I think we can use it as like a springboard to look, what can we do? Because I'm all about consolidation, but I'm all about the right consolidation. So is there ways that we can consolidate things within the Forest Preserve? You know, is there a way to do some intergovernmental shared services with the IT or with the legal counsel? You know, I'd like the discussion to lead more towards that, or just a study, like you said. I haven't seen anything.
That's what I would say too, yeah, because we don't know what the motivation was behind this legislation, and, you know, before we go consolidating the Forest Preserve, maybe we should look at our own county government and see what we can consolidate here. You you know, and I don't know if it's our place to tell the Forest Preserve how to consolidate. I think if we're gonna start consolidating, maybe we need to look at what we're doing here at DuPage and what departments we can consolidate here before we go tell another entity, you know, maybe what to consolidate. But I would be for any, you know, I mean, it would seem to go with our agenda, but I'm just not sure what the motivation was behind it. So without knowing the ulterior motives of this bill, I'm very uncomfortable with it.
Well, I mean, that's Springfield. I mean, they're not gonna, we don't know what's going on in bills half the time. I mean, Cheryl knows, right? I mean, there's bills introduced all over that have
I mean,
huge effects on
I
us.
found all these bills, we weren't notified. I just found them by reading all 3,000.
And again, I haven't read the bill, but it's not consolidating it into the county, it's putting it back to the way it was. I mean, as Brooke had said, it's, the Forest Preserve is its own entity. The only thing that would change would be that, again, the commissioners would be gone, it would serve a joint purpose. So, you know, I don't think it's talking about consolidation, that, what we've been talking about consolidation, I think it's more of taking it back to the old way, where it is, you know, I'm from District 6. I mean, I have 2/3 of the Forest Preserve. I have a majority of the open space. You know, a decision like this, I think when it happened, you know, the state legislature just enacted. Now they're talking about enacting this. You know, I would be in favor if they were, once somebody was serious about doing this, bring it to a referendum. Let our people decide what it's supposed to be. Just not pass a state law that says we're gonna do this. I mean, they did that when they abolished it. Now they're gonna bring it back. I mean, let's have the people have the final say at that point.
Can I ask another?
Review the book?
No, go ahead. I just had a question too. Does the bill, I couldn't find it in the bill. Would the bill then bring the county board back to 24 members, or would it leave it at 18? Because that's a question that,
It doesn't say,
and, right.
it's a 5-line.
And I
My
think
understanding was it keeps it, it's 18.
we keep it
Yeah.
at 18, because
Didn't
there's no
say.
way I would support having, you
Actually,
know,
it's 18.
24.
Actually, it was
24
25
or
at the time,
25.
because the county board chairman served on the Forest Preserve too. It was a great bunch of people.
So, right, having those additional seats back at the county board.
Member Healy?
Yeah, as also one of the other county board members who served in both things, I agree with Brooke. I think there is a inherent conflict that you feel every time you cast a vote on anything that has to do with the Forest Preserve. And, you know, I think we made 99.99% of the decisions right. That conflict still exists. And a lot of the commissioners in Will and Kane and Kendall are friends of mine, feel that pressure every day, and they're feeling it more and more, especially in Will. And it is amusing to, it's amusing for me to sit back and listen to them talk about these things, which are exactly the way we were talking about them 14 years ago when we first got on the board and had to deal with these things. I think it's short-sighted. I think anything that is done on this should be done by referendum. I think they should have done it the first time by referendum, because then it gives it a lot more of an imprimatur of what the people want to have happen. The final thing is that Tony and I had a chance to talk about this a little bit, and I agree that what should be looked at is not, I think in this case, consolidation, but it's shared services. I mean, we constantly throw out there consolidation, and it's actually a catch-all for what we really sometimes want to say, which is shared services. Because of the fact that they do many of the exact same things with IT, personnel, things along those lines, and because of the fact that we are, roughly about 5 miles away from each other, if that, and about 10 minutes, I think there may be many ways that we can work together to consolidate IT, consolidate personnel, consolidate a lot of those things. I know when we first did the gas stations, if you want to call them, the quick fills for the gas, right as we were leaving, we put them in and tried to put them around the county so we could share them with not only the county but with other folks. I think when we split, there's been a decade now where we really haven't talked about those issues of shared services for a while, and if nothing else, I think this is going to give us the opportunity to start talking with the district regarding shared services and ways to save money on it, because I don't see any giant savings from bringing it in as this bill recommends. I do see possible conflicts, and as much as you want to avoid those, it will always be there, because you have a very specific job as a Forest Preserve Commissioner, and you have a very specific job as a county commissioner, and sometimes they do conflict. And although, you know, Jim and I always got it right when we were on the board, there were many people who did it, and maybe for that time it was good up until the time we left, but now that we are separated, I think it's a much better system the way it is, but I think we should look at the shared service. I think Tony's absolutely correct. And I think that we should, maybe out of this committee, send people over there and start talking about shared services. Maybe that's what the person who was putting this bill forward, because he didn't connect with anybody, maybe that's what he was looking for, is savings on that way. And if that's what he did, then I think that he started the conversation in a very different way, but he started a conversation that I think is necessary to take place. And I think that the good thing to do now is to continue that conversation and talk about all these shared services. And I don't think it should stop there with the Forest Preserve, but I think they are a natural partner for us because they too are countywide and multi-jurisdictional.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just wanted to make a minor procedural comment here, but I don't think that the county, unless we haven't entered into a joint lobbying agreement with the Forest Preserve, right? We're not paying our lobbyists to lobby on behalf of the Forest Preserve. So with regards to 2377, which only deals with compensation for the Forest Preserve commissioners, I don't think we have the authority for our lobbyists to lobby on behalf of their pay scale. I think that's something they would have to lobby on. The other bill, absolutely,
Why
because
would we not have the authority?
well,
Why would we not have the authority to direct our lobbyists to lobby on behalf of any bill that affects the residents of DuPage County?
what doesn't affect the residents of DuPage
Sure it
County, it
does.
affects the elected commissioners of another elected body.
That may affect the quality of the representatives that they get on that board.
Do we do this,
How could you say that does not affect the residents of DuPage County?
do we lobby on behalf of the salary changes for, say, the clerk or the state's attorney or other bodies that we directly budget for?
We have the authority.
We have the authority
We have
to
the
directly
authority.
create
You just
that.
said we don't have the authority. Is your point of
Okay,
order?
I should have rephrased it. I don't think we should. I think that's something that the Forest Preserve should decide on because it doesn't affect how we run. We are two separate entities. So, this does not affect how we run our segment of government. This affects how they run their segment of government. So I don't think this is something that we should be lobbying on. The other bill, absolutely, because this is talking about, bringing Forest Preserve duties back to the county, and that's something we absolutely do have a shared interest in. That's something we can, I think, render a county position on. But with regards to the pay scale for another elected group of officials, I don't think we should render a position on that because it's not how we govern. And that's not what we're paying our lobbyists to do.
Thank you, Member Nicolazzi. Anybody else? And one of the reasons I called it was, again, we had nothing to do with this. We were not aware of this. It seemed like at one point the county board was sort of behind this. We had no idea. Nobody I talked to had any idea this was coming. So that was one reason why we wanted to sit down and talk about it. Obviously, there's many other issues to talk about this. We will schedule a meeting soon, maybe in 2 weeks, once we get some more information. If this is still moving forward. Member Zay was right that a lot of these things we're not always aware of and whatnot, but when you're ready to talk about making a bigger county board and adding, maybe 400 plus employees or whatever, I think we're owed the common courtesy to be called and talked about before it's even moved forward, plus a study of some sort, so we can bring it up to referendum of what we want to do with it. I think that's our responsibility to the constituents we represent. I also think the Forest Preserve would be wide open to that as well, but to have it, I think thrown on both of us and blindsided, quite frankly, was very shocking for all of us. So, Member Kern.
Mr. Chairman, do you envision us eventually taking a vote on taking a position on the bill?
As soon as it becomes a little bit more, I think clear at that point, we get some more information. I think maybe we want to do it, maybe we don't. I think it's up to the committee, and I'll follow up with each one of us, our committee members, and see what's up. And Cheryl will keep us apprised on a daily basis.
So right now, we're just gathering information.
Yes.
For the next meeting.
Yes.
We're not gonna make a request for a study or anything, we're just gathering information.
Gather information, and we make a request for a study. Anybody wants to bring it up right now? We
Yeah,
can.
we need a motion for that.
Mr. Chairman, do you have the authority to form a subcommittee of anybody from this committee or from any other committee to start talking to the Forest Preserve about shared services?
It's 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, we have more information.
Yeah, more information. The last thing I wanna do is spend the taxpayers' money on something that
would think we would wanna expend money on a study, yeah, it would be premature.
I wasn't talking about spending money. I was
No, I know you
Form
were.
a committee and just start talking.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you wanna do it, you can do a subcommittee of this committee, but it would be restricted to members of this committee on the subcommittee, or you could request the chairman appoint an ad hoc committee, which would, the membership would be open to any board member.
Well, I will hold off for right now, talk to the chairman, talk to every one of you, and then we will decide on doing the ad hoc or a subcommittee for the next time period we have left. All right, any old business? Any new business? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Cheryl, I got a note.